Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic readings, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living of Greater Baltimore and Columbia. Today is June 13th. And this morning I'm reading from Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And I opened it to page 296, and my eyes landed on this. I like the word gumption because it's so homely and so forlorn and so out of style. It looks as if it needs a friend and isn't likely to reject anyone who comes along. It's an old Scottish word, once used a lot by pioneers, but which, like kin, seems to have all but dropped out of use. I like it also because it describes exactly what happens to someone who connects with quality. They get filled with gumption. The Greeks called it enthusiasmos, the root of enthusiasm, which means literally filled with theos, or God, or quality. See how that fits? A person filled with gumption doesn't sit around dissipating and stewing about things. They're at the front of the train of their own awareness, watching to see what's up the track and meeting it when it comes. That's gumption. That works for me. And I did was not aware that the root of theos meant that the root of enthusiasm meant filled with theos or filled with God. And it makes sense that when I'm aware of what I'm filled with, what I'm made of, that I would be enthusiastic, that I would be excited, that I would be unlimited, unbounded. Um, and, I love this last part where he says a person filled with gumption doesn't sit around dissipating and stewing about things. They are at the front of the train of their own awareness. Not your awareness, but I'm at the front of the train of my awareness, and you're at the front of the train of your awareness. Right? Watching to see what's up the track and meeting it when it comes. Not trying to make it come sooner. It, it's there, and I'm the one changing. I'm the one moving to move to my next greatest expression. And I think sometimes we get that flip to where we think we get to sit still and things come to us. And that has not been my experience. My experience is I'm the one doing the work. I'm the one changing. Everything else already is. And I have to change and prepare and move to meet it. Um, and I also find it, and I'm just going to be real because that's just kind of how I roll through life. It seems like it's just a really lazy perspective to think that I get to sit and creation just brings stuff to me. Where's my role in that? Where's the reciprocity in that? Um, and for me, that turns God, creation, spirit, whatever we call it, into a vending machine that delivers. It's like I'm no longer even participating. I'm just sitting on the couch waiting for God Dash instead of DoorDash to deliver my spiritual blessings. Uh, and That's meant to sound just as irreverent as it sounds. Because I think that practice is irreverent. I think it's a practice of separation. I think it's a practice of human elitism. And when we're part of the whole, we're part of the whole. And there's no hierarchy, and there's participation. That's what comes up to me in this reading. I'm curious what comes up for any of you. Um, and I'll pause here for just a moment if you want to put anything in the chat before we go into our meditation. Okay. So I'm going to read it through. It's a really short little paragraph here. So I'm going to read it through one more time, and then we'll go into our time of meditation, which is just a 5-minute practice of being present with whatever is. And I invite you to just be present with whatever comes up for you around the words that we take into the meditation. Here we go. I like the word gumption because it's so homely and so forlorn and so out of style, it looks as if it needs a friend and isn't likely to reject anyone who comes along. It's an old Scottish word, once used a lot by pioneers, but which, like kin, seems to have all but dropped out of use. I like it also because it describes exactly what happens to someone who connects with quality. They get filled with gumption. The Greeks called it enthusiasmos, the root of enthusiasm, which means literally filled with theos, or God, or quality. See how that fits? A person filled with gumption doesn't sit around on the train of their excuse me. A person filled with gumption doesn't sit around dissipating and stewing about things. They are at the front of the train of their own awareness, watching to see what's up the track and meeting it when it comes. That's gumption. All right, so let's take that into our meditation. So I bring my attention to this moment, to the recognition that there is only one infinite, ever present allness, one life, one love, one peace, one power, one presence, one substance that is the source of all, one substance that is creation expressing in multiplicity, one inseparable from itself. No two expressions the same, and yet no expression of it separate from itself. This one being all there is, and this one being everywhere present, there is no place for it to separate to. Being infinite possibility and form, being all that there ever has been expressed, all that can be expressed, there's no thing for it to change into, but rather infinite possibility for it to express. It is eternal, reminding me that every expression of this one is that there is no has been, there is no will be, there simply is. And the only moment now. And as I recognize the totality, the completeness, the perfection of one, I embrace, as well as my brain can, the reality that I am that in form. That the physical expression of me is a physical expression of this one infinite everything, driven by a desire for it to know and experience itself as my life, as the relationship with itself, as I interact and relate with other individualized expressions of it, as I journey inward to remember the spiritual self, the divine self that is always present. As I release everything unlike that, as I expand my own awareness of the substance of my being, I know the substance of all being. Same substance, different expression. And so I claim and affirm that I am filled with Theos. I am filled with God. And I allow myself to be the enthusiasm of the divine. I allow myself to be at the ready, welcoming every expression of life. And so I celebrate. I celebrate the divinity that is expressing, the wholeness that is expressing, the oneness that is expressing, the spirit that is expressing, the whatever name we use is expressing. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this triune nature of this infinite beingness. It is absolute intelligence, and then is the indiscriminate, non judgmental actor of desire, fulfiller of desire that I know as law. It simply receives the impress, the mental equivalent of desire, and makes it so. And so I am intentional in releasing everything unlike truth of being, everything unlike love. I release the lie that the human me has to make anything happen so that I am available to participate in life unfolding. I let go of all preconceived outcomes and simply live in the desire to experience, knowing that law unfolds that experience in perfect form. And so I release the limitation of my idea of how that has to happen so that I can be in the experience of how it happens. I let go. I let go and I live in the faith, the belief, the evidence of things not seen but hoped for. Knowing that as I live in the evidence of it, it becomes available to me. So I let go. And I live into a bigger faith with every breath. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.